Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on eCIP, the continuous improvement plan software that we developed for managing the need for continuous improvement plans at aged care facilities. My name is Scott Restivo. I'm joined by Aidan O'Flaherty. We will be talking about this eCIP and going over some of the quality standards and the strength standards. This should be quite an interesting webinar. Before we get going, I just want to point out that there is a question box on the in your dashboard there in your GoToWebinar sign up screen there. There should be a question. If you have any questions, you can put them in there. And the other thing is this will be recorded and we will put it up on our YouTube site once we get the recording and all that. So with that said, first of all, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Scott Restivo. I said that earlier, but I'm Scott Restivo. I'm CEO of Crow Canyon Software. I'm up in California right now. I'll be going down to Australia next week for the ACPA conference in Adelaide. And I've also been there well, at least last year, I went over to visit Aidan and his group down. Aidan is with the Royce and the Tulich communities down there in Penrith, outside of Sydney. And so Aidan and I have been collaborating for quite some time and developing, first we developed ASSETjourney. ASSETjourney is an asset management plan. About 2 years ago, there was a real demand, especially in the New South Wales state, for asset management plans to manage, of course, assets, of course. And they had to have a plan in place. And it's sort of like rolled out throughout all of Australia. And ASSETjourney has been very, very popular. We have hundreds of villages. And out of that, we got this comments that, they needed a continuous improvement plan. What was given to them by the government was basically a Word doc or kind of an Excel spreadsheet. You've probably seen it. It's just a sheet of paper. And we realized the inadequacies of that and realized that we could do quite a bit with a piece of software, a digital CIP program. And we came up with eCIP, working together with Aidan and other providers down over there and around the Sydney and throughout Australia. And we came up with this eCIP. And it's been really fascinating for all of us to study what the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission has put out. They are quite thorough in what they're described, what their needs are. And they give you pretty good guidance on what's needed in a piece of software like this. So we feel like we're really on the mark here and what we're providing, and it will really be helpful to you in your operations. We follow this guidance that they give, which is the Plan, Do, Check, Act. We'll go into that a little more about what we're doing here. But first, we'll look a little bit at the standards. That let's get a little context, and then we'll move into the continuous improvement plan. And Aidan's on board, and he can jump in anytime and comment. Aidan's been working in the aged care and retirement village industry for many years, CFO of the Tulich communities, and he's well versed in this in these matters and quite a great resource to have on board. So here we have the current quality standards. These came out a few years ago. The 8 standards you can see there. This probably wheel is very familiar to anyone in the aged care world. Consumer dignity, ongoing assessment and plan with consumers, and all the other standards. And this has been the guiding light, you might say, for the quality standards for some time. And there is a continuous improvement plan required out of that. They have this template, I guess you could say, from the Australian government, where you have your commission ID, source name, provider name, then you have the standard. So there's standard 1 and there's related standard 3A, B, C, D, E, F. Standard 2, 3A, B, C, D. And I could go dig into those and show. It's all on the website. It's quite interesting to see what these are. But we're also looking at what's going on with the new strengthened standards coming out next year. Now these, as you see, have 7 standards, sort of aligned somewhat with the current standards, but these are new. They're done in a different way. And I've been reading and watching videos and reading a lot about why they made these changes. And it's basically to give it more clarity and to avoid duplications and to provide more guidance, you might say, to providers, more specificality on what needs to be done. So this is what we're working with right now, this wheel right here with the 7 standards. And one of the very important part of the standards, a part of the Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission, is that providers must have a written continuous improvement plan. This is a requirement under the Aged Care Commission rules. And so this is something that, as you dig into it, it actually ends up being quite a bit more than just, like that Word document we were just looking at, that template a few minutes ago, and just fill in those boxes. It's actually much more complicated and thorough. And the value of it is really there. There's a real value in it. And the more I read and learn and understand this better, there's a real value here. I mean, of course, any government burden is a government burden, and I worry about auditors and all that. But there is a real uh, value to this continuous improvement plan, in the sense that, I mean, if you're going to have to do it, you might as well do it right, is what we say. And it can really improve the operations. And they talk about seeing things through the lens of the older people and the lens of the workers and in the communities. So, as a provider, you have to understand that viewpoint, that how are the older people, how are your workers viewing? Are they getting the resources they need? Are the older people getting the care they need, and are the workers getting the resources they need? Are they, in a sense, empowered or given the capabilities and the training and the tools and everything to do it? These are really, really important factors, so that the continuous improvement is that you're showing the government, there's two sides to it. One, you're showing the government you're really taking this seriously, and you're moving along and you're improving. And that goes to your ratings and your recertifications and things like that. And there's a video I'll point out to you later, where one of the commissioners goes into detail about how they evaluate operators based on this continuous improvement plan. It's quite they take it quite seriously. But the other value is that it really can help your operations. I mean, that's something we have to just admit. Yeah, well, it's like a lot of government overhead here, but in a way, has a real value to improving operations and keeping the staff and workers and management focused on what's most important, which of course is the best care possible to the aged care community, the older people, and also providing your workers with the tools and resources and empowerment and training that they can to provide that level of care. So as it says here, if the commission auditors request a CIP, providers must supply it. So what we're trying to do at eCIP, our program called eCIP, is give you a streamlined and easy way to provide, to enact and plan, do the plan, do, check, act, and also to meet the government requirements. So with the new strength standards, is a little bit different template, but it's fairly similar. It just doesn't have standard 1, A, B, C, 3A, 3B, 3C. The standards are more like 1, then 1.1, 2, and 2.1. We can go into that in detail. So our eCIP program, following the plan, do, check, act, gives you a lot of flexibility on how you're going to do the plan. Now we'll go into a demo in a few minutes, but a few more slides if you bear with me here. eCIP, this program, is part of our ASSETjourney set of tools. You can create multiple plans, so you can have a plan from for different situations. Maybe there's a food service plan. Maybe there's a I'll say outside services plan. Aiden would know this more, what the different kinds of plans are, but you might have one for the aged care, you might have one for the village, you might have one for this year, for next year. There's many different variations, and we can create multiple plans, and you can transfer from one to the other. You can archive one and then transfer the improvement items to the other. So the way the plan works, there's a plan, like overall plan, and then under it are the individual improvement items, what are correlated with the standards. You can respond to feedback much more easily, because in ASSETjourney itself, there's a resident feedback. There may be other ways you get resident feedback, through a resident app, or just people walking up to their front desk, or many other ways that you can imagine that residents provide feedback, and you have to be responsive to that. Is that something that's going to go into an improvement item? In our ASSETjourney program, which let me make the point, ASSETjourney is separate from eCIP, but we can coordinate the two together, because we have a resident feedback section in our ASSETjourney that can then graduate a feedback item into an improvement item in eCIP, if you want that, We can integrate with other programs too. It doesn't have to be just ASSETjourney, but any resident feedback program can graduate, let's say, a feedback, a complaint, an issue, a concern of the resident, or even of staff or relatives, to an improvement item. And then that improvement item becomes part of the plan, and then it's worked on, and there's some kind of outcome and resolution to that. We can track improvements very closely, so you keep a close track of where this improvement item is, what's being done, who's working on it. We have tasks that are correlated with the improvement items, so that there's maybe individual tasks that has to be done in order to move the improvement item along the plan, do, check, act, sequence. And then you can assess outcomes. And this is an important part of the commission. And as I understand it from watching, going to conferences and watching these videos and reading up on it, is that it isn't just you're done. It's you have to check and assess and make sure that that improvement you implemented is actually implemented and carried through, and ultimately providing the result you want, which is better care, high quality care to the aged care population. So it has to be like a full cycle there, not just, oh, we did this improvement and then we're done. No, it has to be an assessment and a check. And in our program, we have the ability to set a time period, like say 3 months is what the default is, to go back and check, is that improvement still providing the benefits that we hoped it would? And what are residents and staff feedback on that improvement? There's a lot of moving parts here, I'm telling you. So let's go a little more here, and I'll keep moving along here. This is just a screenshot of our continuous improvement plan software. We'll go into the demo, but now we're going to go into the plan, do, check, act. And the reason I want to point this out is this is from the government site, the commission site. Each step, and what really is impressed on me when looking at this is that there's no way a Word document can do everything they required. You need a system like that. I mean, it just seems so obvious to me, because you can't keep track and just having that template, but one line that has a few boxes in it. Other than that, you'd have to have piles of paper that are related to it, and some over here and something over there. It just seems like what the commission requires is much more detail and focus and concern. It isn't something that they want you just to, do as kind of a what do you call that? Like as a routine thing. Oh yeah, we're doing some improvement items. Yeah. No, this is something where they really want you to delve in and make these improvements and track them. So you have to analyze the current situation, research different ways to make improvements, seek input and feedback from stakeholders. They keep emphasizing this thing about stakeholder involvement, stakeholder notification, stakeholders being residents, relatives, staff, other people. And you have to identify actions to implement the plan. Okay, then there's the doing. The doing is testing the options to find the preferred improvement, involving the stakeholders. We call that in software user acceptance testing, but in this case it'd be how are the residents and the staff responding to this proposed improvement. You keep stakeholders informed. They keep making that a point. And in our eCIP program, we have the ability to list stakeholders and people responsible, and they can get notifications. It's an integral part of our software, is that you just say send a notification, and it sends it out like an email, boom, or you can do a text message, whatever you want to do. It makes it a breeze to keep everybody informed according to what you want. If you want every status changes, or there's an update to this, or that happens, or this happens, okay, then you also can look at allocating resources to make sure that improvement is a success, and you document the decisions made. This is a lot of paperwork going on here. So this is something that you have to keep track of in a really organized way to not lose the momentum of these improvements that are going on. Then there's check the improvement. So you did it. It was in place. Now you're checking if it's delivering as intended. Are the residents getting the care they need? Are the workers getting the resources and what they need? Et cetera, et cetera. And then assessing whether more changes are needed, or if different options be tried. Measure the improvement and document the evaluation method and result. And then act to standardize the process is the final part of this circle of action here. If improvement isn't successful, what can be done differently next time? Go through the cycle again. So we have the ability to take an improvement item and then recycle it, you might say. If successful, again, make sure all stakeholders are informed. There you go. Just very easy with a program that can send out automated emails. All necessary staff are trained. You can track the training progress related to that improvement item. And then you could also go into document management where you're changing policies and procedures that now reflect the new change that was implemented, the improvement that was implemented, and then make sure that change within the organization is managed, which is sort of like making sure people are trained or they're aware of the new policies and all that. So it's quite a load of quite a burden there to do this right. And with the eCIP program, we're sure that you can do it much more easily than with paper or those templates that are just really insufficient. And that's why, when our ASSETjourney customers have been clamoring for something like this, especially in the aged care world. I mean, the villages don't have the standards and kind of the oversight at the same level, with these 7 or 8 old standards, 7 new standards and all that. But it certainly is a value of value to villages for sure to do continuous improvement, whether they're correlated with standards or not. They might be some other kind of standards that they want to correlate with, but villages also can look to improve. And and actually, the more I look at the continuous improvement plan software, it applies really to just about any organization, really. Even I started looking at our company, Crocan Software, saying, this would be actually good for us because we could have some kind of plan to improve this part of the business or that part of the business. And it's not for as a business businessman here and looking at organizational physics and organizational dynamics. Continuous improvement plan seems like almost critical to any organization anyway, and it's a good. I think it's a good and it's a value. So what eCIP does, our eCIP program, it meets all the legislative requirements, and producing reports the auditors need and keeping track of all the improvement items. And plus, ultimately the goal is to help you provide better care to your residents, focus staff efforts on improved service and giving them the capabilities to do it. You want to increase your responsiveness to residents, and so that they feel well cared for and listened to. You can reduce waste and cost, because if you're spending time and effort and money on something that is not producing a good result, well, this can help you focus, reduce the waste by focusing on what is going to provide superior service and superior care to the residents. Prepares you for government audits. That's always there. Readies you for the strengthened standards, because we're going to have the strengthened standards coming out, and they're going to be a factor. July 1st, I believe, is the go live date of when the Aged Care Act takes effect. And then one big part of eCIP is that we integrate with third-party systems. There are we have partners such as Compago, which has a resident app, and the residents can put in feedback and things like that. So we can integrate with programs like that to in the improvement items and other resident feedback systems, or as I talked about, document management. So whatever needs to be done if you want to have the integration with the third-party systems. And of course, it integrates with our ASSETjourney, of course. That's almost a given. And now there is just a final slide before I go into the demo. Aiden, do you want to pipe in and say anything, or can add to this?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound a little bit back, but I think we hear you just fine.
Is this better? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I think just obviously Scott's went through that in detail. I think it'll be good to show you the actual system we've created, but just to reiterate what Scott was saying is, so we have aged care and retirement villages at Toolich, and so we use eCIP for our government mandated aged care CI plan. We also use it for our village to do that side of things. We're also created a separate plan for the new Aged Care Act and strengthened standards of how we're going to transition. So we've got a separate plan for that. you know, when things happen on site, we'd say we need to do a separate medication management plan. We put that in, food and nutrition, something like that. So we really use it to the fullest of its extent. I think what you'll see when Scott shows you is we've really thought about it from an operator's perspective, or what works on the ground. One of the driving forces I know from us doing it is, well, we have the Word document that you fill out. We would meet every week doing it, and you'd have to literally go through the Word document every time. So 65 items we have, you would go through them. This is closed, that's not closed, let's update it. It does a lot of time, and so even just by putting this in, we can basically stop those weekly meetings because it's all live as you go, and you can put tasks in and stuff like that. I think what would be powerful is if Scott just quickly shows you the system and sort of shows you what we do.
Yeah, thanks, Hayden. That's really good. And anyone who, I'm sure everyone is probably familiar with these websites. I just want to go over to Aged Care Quality, agedcarequality.gov.au providers. There's a tremendous amount of information here on the quality standards, you know, the governance, and et cetera, et cetera. And if you dig into these things, there's like here's the quality standards, the strength standards, all the current ones, the current quality standards, and then the strength standards. And what I had noticed about this is like kind of interesting. This is the strength standards. When you dig into any one of these standards, standard 1, you've got this document, which is usually like at least 30 or 40 pages, if not more, detail on every last aspect of what needs to be 1.1.1, 1.1.2, 1.1.3, and you know, it's quite a read. I'm telling you, it's quite fascinating to see, and you know, appreciate in a way that they went to this extent to ensure that. And so, believe me, they take the quality standard, the continuous improvement plans quite seriously to make sure that the providers are hitting the goals of the commission. And the other point is that, and this is something, in fact, I'm going to show you, here it is right here. I watched this, there's, you know, you go to YouTube, find like everything, but this one was actually a very good video talking about auditing. It's like, you watched the first 40 minutes, she went on and on with some questions, but it was from a conference about, I think, last April, and she's talking all about the audit process and what's needed for audits and what's required and how they evaluate and what criteria they use. She gets into all that, and it's quite an interesting video, how they talk, what she's really talking about. I mean, many things, but one of them is that they look at it from a provider level, so that if they figure you maybe have multiple villages or multiple aged care facilities, if the provider's on the ball and they see good quality, you know, aligning with the quality standards and whether the current or the strengthened, then they, you know, they still examine each village for the continuous improvement plan, but they think more highly of the provider and they're more trusting of the provider if the provider is taking it seriously at that level. It's not so much the individual village level, but the provider level that's important. All right, let me bring over the demo of our program and go through it briefly. Anyways, we can do a one-on-one demo with any of you anytime to show you in detail. This runs in Microsoft Office 365. We would run it if you have Office 365 in your environment. All this data stays local and to yours, and the permissions and the permissions and you know, security is all internal to your Office 365 tenant. So eCIP, plan for continuous improvement. They do it both ways: continuous improvement plan or plan for continuous improvement. We decided to go with eCIP. This sounded pretty good. So what we have is plans. So this shows you all, you know, all the plans. There's one active plan, one archive plan. There's 3 altogether. One was transferred, so that's why there's 3. The one active, one archive, one transferred, just as a demo to show you kind of what's possible. I'll open up one plan. Well, I could either create, well, let me open this up and then I'll create a new one and show you how easy it is to do this. So here you go, you know what it looks like. But let's start with a new one. You have a new plan, and maybe you're going to put together a plan. And by the way, we can work with you to import if you have data or a plan already in some kind of template or Word doc or whatever. You know, we'd have to massage the data probably a little, but we could get it into this program. There's a process that we could do. So we look at the service provider. You may have different providers up there. You may have an aged care facility, a village facility. Let's assume it's an aged care one. Of course, it would have your name up here, like, you know, the Four Seasons aged care facility or whatever. The, the Lush Gardens aged care facility or something. And it's going to put, this is all from the back end. You put it into the administration, your commission ID, service name, provider name. Then you give this one a title, like say 2025, let's say aged care plan, you know. And then it was created today. So you could say today and update it's updated. So then you could add improvement items to this and also tasks that are related to it. So if we just save this, it's going to show up as another active plan here. See, in the 2 active plans now. Then if you want to go here and add an improvement item, it's quite easy. You can do it here or through the other screen where it's improvement items right here. But here we go. And a date issue identified, the plan completion date, the actual completion date when you finish it, what phase we're in, or is it a draft phase for this improvement, planning, doing, checking, standardizing, successful, unsuccessful. This is following that plan, do, check, act to standardize, and then successful, unsuccessful. So we're following their methodology. In progress, who's responsible, evaluation date, others responsible, and stakeholders. So these are people who get information, you know, this stakeholder notification they talk about over and over again. And then what quality standard does it relate to? Well, here's the current standards where it's standard 1, 3A, standard 2, you know, on and on and on. So you can choose what standard. It could even be multiple standards. That some improvement items deal with multiple standards. So let's go here and just put a couple of these in just to fill in some information. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but you know, you would if you had the real improvement item. But we also want to map it to the strengthened standards, if at all possible, because this is a way to be ready for the 2025 activity, you know. So this might be a quality and safety culture. I don't know. So then you have an improvement title, which could be whatever you want. Let's say what would be Aiden, help me out here. What's an improvement title we would do here?
Go
I should
with
have had this ready.
one of the ones we just did was moved in-house catering.
Move to in-house catering. Okay, right. Issue identified was let's just make something up. Outside catering was not responsive to residents' requests. Right? I mean, you see how you can kind of, you know, planned action. Bid for outside catering, you know, outside caterers. Make sense? The outcome would be that you found one, or you settled on one, and it could be tasks assigned. Maybe sometimes you don't need a task assigned. It's, you know, or you could give it to an individual in your organization to go research outside caterers. So then you save it and close it, and then it becomes part of this 2025 plan. See, now it's moved to in-house catering, and it goes on and on like that. It's in draft phase. And what you can do is you can look at the improvement items. Once you have the plans, you can look at the improvement items, which are active by plan. You're going to see, you know, which ones are here. You can see all the items under this plan here and this plan here. If there's only one plan active, you're only going to see the ones, you know, only one plan here. Also by phase, you can look at it by phase: doing, draft, standardized, and completed, and all the items that you want. So you get a really good way to manage that, and the same with the task. Now, what we can do also here is, if we have the aged care plan, generate a report. So, well, okay, let me go there. We can generate a report which follows the template. So this is what the commission wants, is a template, and it's going to come up with this document. So let me see. It came up with this document right here. You know, we have a template that fills in all this information based on what we did, and becomes a Word doc that you can. Now this is very short because only one improvement item, but each improvement item would be listed like here, plan completion date, and then you're good to go. Auditors come around. Oh yeah, I'll just generate the report. Bada bing, here it is. And then you could download it and give it to them as a, you know, save it as PDF, whatever you want to do. and then it becomes part of the record of, and you can give it to them. It follows all that format we were looking at, right? You see the format prepared on with the logo up here, plan for continuous improvement 2024, all this stuff. So it's all there to make it possible to do that. So that's like, it makes it so much easier to manage these things than with paper. The other thing is you can copy and archive a plan. So you can copy a plan, say you have the 2024 plan ending and you want to go to the 2025 plan. You go and just do the copy and archive. It copies into the new one and archives the old one. And Aiden, you were talking about that as a matter of moving from like last year to this year. Why would someone want to archive a plan?
Yeah, so I think so. At the minute, for example, we have 65 items on our CI plan here. I would say 14 of them are still open. So when we transition from our 2024 to 2025 plan, you're basically on the top of Scott's screen, it says copy and archive plan. You can archive it, and then it automatically creates your 2025 plan and automatically transitions any open items onto your 2025 plan. So it's all just seamless and done for you.
That's right. It's real convenient to do that, and any live improvement items can be carried over, right?
Correct.
So then you have this ability to really look at it, and you can also set these up to see if you're the assigned person who's responsible for them, you can filter it by who's responsible. You can print this list if you wanted of the improvement items. You can group and sort. It's many things you can do in the SharePoint, Office 365 environment that make it quite powerful tool for doing this. Now, we also have government links down the bottom, so you can go out and look at the different standards in detail. And we have an administration page where you would configure the back end, here, what the different standards are, how you want to configure the different lists, default plan option, this is for giving the ID and the show standards, or, all these different things you can do to help you run it, easily administer and come up with the eCIP plan. Now, one thing I want to do here is before we close shop is go over to ASSETjourney 2.1 and show you the resident feedback. This is our ASSETjourney 2.1. If you're looking for an asset management plan, and this isn't what this webinar is about, but if you are, this is a great tool used by many villages down over there, where in Australia. I'm really looking forward to coming. I'm leaving Friday night and going to be there in Adelaide and Perth for about 2 weeks. So I really look forward to coming. Anyway, so we, of course, assets, preventive maintenance, reactive maintenance, the government reports, the required reports, the 10-year report, the 3-year report, the asset register. But I want to point out that under the residents, we have this feedback, and the feedback is accumulated here. One of the requirements that is in the standard 2 on the organization is the systems in place to manage risk, incidents, feedback, quality, all kinds of things. Of course, the continuous improvement plan is part of that. The asset management is part of it. The resident feedback here. So the resident feedback could be something that graduates into an eCIP, because maybe you were not handling it internally. You're handling it where it needs to actually be an improvement. Now, this is sort of like in software in some sense, where like if say you're doing a help desk and the printer's broken, well, you don't just keep fixing the printer, maybe you have to replace the printer. So there's a change management aspect. It's helped you do change management by identifying an underlying problem, and then what's the resolution? Fix it or replace it, or change the process and procedure, the whole root cause analysis that comes into play to help drive a cycle of continuous improvement. So what they're doing with the Aged Care Commission is not like way out there in left field. It's very much in line with organizational dynamics, or the continuous improvement model of seeing, an incident can indicate a problem. the problem has a root cause. The root cause is either hardware, software, procedures and policies, or people. Usually people aren't trained, or they don't know what to do, or the policies and procedures are outdated and incorrect. Maybe there's a software or hardware problem or equipment problem. And then once you do that, you can enact an improvement that like saves you time, effort, money, and hassle, really. And so it's quite aligned with what we've been doing. With Crocan's been involved in help desk and service desk for so many years, and asset management. So it's right in line, this continuous improvement. It's just kind of a different character because you're talking more about um, care and quality of service to the residents more than, you know, equipment and stuff. But equipment is related to the care that's provided. So it all circles back. So if you did, you know, if you are interested in ASSETjourney, if you're some of you I know are already using it. I've seen some names I'm familiar with. Oh, here's a question. Let me see. So, you know, those of you who use it already know. Can you map the SIP to incident or feedback? Yeah, of course. Of course. That's exactly what I'm trying to point out here, is that the feedback and incidents can be mapped to the CIP. So over here in the CIP, it could be mapped to an improvement item. It's that this, let me just take one of these right here, review of emergency plan or whatever. And, you know, in fact, that's a good point there. You know, thank you for pointing out, because I think we'll make it more obvious on this that there's like item task, it'd be item, you know, related feedback from this program I'm showing you now. It does not have that element in it that's tied to ASSETjourney. Probably good in the demo that we do that to show it, that it can have that place for resident feedback, or it can just be a open field that says this this what was the genesis, what generated this improvement item is really what is being asked here. Where did it come from? Was it resident feedback? Was it an incident? Was it some kind of problem? Was it, you know, I mean, was it an external factor? That's you know, that's Aiden, that's gonna, you know, even if we're not tied to ASSETjourney, the CIP improvement item needs to have that in it. So we'll add that in for sure. Okay. Progenitor of what we call it, root cause, or what generated this, you know?
Yeah.
Improvement. I think that's critical, don't you? Because then you could go say, okay, now I resolved that problem, and I can go back to the resident who had the feedback, or the relative, or the staff member, or even the government official, and say, look, it's resolved. And yeah, good. That's a good point. Thank you for pointing that out. It's from, I think it's from one of our customers. Yeah. Okay, good. All right. I like that. All right. So and then that points out a really good point about how we work, Aiden and I, and ASSETjourney, and you know, everybody involved in it. We are really have our ear to the ground. Of course, Aiden's right there in the soup there with the retirement home and aged care facility co-located in Penrith, the Royce and Coolidge communities. And you know, I'm involved by reading all that. We're really listening to what people need and want in their programs. You know, one little segue here, and then we'll probably wrap it up. Okay, not this. Strengthening the standards. Let's see. Strengthen standards. One aside for everyone, there is a lot of, I mean, one thing about the commission, they do give you a lot of education and training materials. I got to give them credit for that. They do try and make it possible. And I hope some of you are going to the ACPA conference in Adelaide, or if not, maybe I'll see you at a village summit. You know, where is this? Strengthen standards. Let's see if we get all the strengthen standards information. I want to go into the organization. The organization talks about all the tools that are needed in the, you know, just so many different tools are needed to do, like you point out, incident management, risk management, quality management, all these tools, you know, which is, it gives us as software developers an opportunity to, you know, really help provide that to the aged care and village community. So here we are in standard 2, the organization. And if we go into the document itself, we see that it's asking for many different tools for managing your organization, see, here we go. If you read, may I make that a little larger? But it's about quality and safety. It's about accountability and quality, risk management, incident management, feedback and complaints management, information management, human resource management. I mean, that's number 2. They're really dwelling on that quite a bit. So, we'll talk about price. Oh, I wanted to mention, Aiden, we should mention this. Anyone on the webinar who registered will give a introductory discount on the eCIP program. We'll talk to you individually about price. Depends if you have ASSETjourney or not already, but the price is very reasonable, we think, and we'll give you even a discount, an introductory price. Not, since you're joining this webinar and talking to us, and and spending the time. So I think at this point I pretty much covered what I would plan to cover. Aiden, did you want to go over anything else?
No, I think that's it. I think, yeah, just to reiterate what Scott was saying, I think, yeah, if anyone on this demo, I think it ends up being about 30%, 33% or so.
Yes,
So it's
yeah,
quite a good
it's
discount.
1/3 off. That's right.
You essentially get the program as if you did already have ASSETjourney. So yeah, I guess if you're interested, come and see us at ACPO. If you're at ACPO, we've got a stand there, or go to our website and put in for a demo. We can go through it in more details. You can ask us some specific questions, and hopefully we get to work with you.
Yeah, let's point out that ASSETjourney.com is the website. Oh, I was also going to mention that there is a whole webinar we did on navigating the Strenton aged care standards last April, but we'll probably do another one too, because there's been some changes since last April, the last 6 months or so. We'll probably do another one soon, maybe after the ACPA conference, and we'll learn what we can there in ACPA from the attendance and the the talks there, the seminars and everything, and then come back and do a maybe November, December webinar on this trend standard. We're here to help support. That's how I feel. I think Aiden agrees. Help the aged care. Yeah, and I really think it's good work. I think taking care of older people and make sure they have quality care, even if the government does get a little overboard sometimes, but it's a good intention. It's a good intention, and any way we can help with that is great. So we are at ASSETjourney.com, and the eCIP program is here. We do have other. I won't bother you with other URLs that go to the same place. Just remember, ASSETjourney.com is the easiest one to remember. ASSETjourney.com. And we'll see you there, and there's request a demo anytime. And of course, you can email Aiden and I, sales@ASSETjourney.com. It works also. Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you for attending, and any feedback, any questions, let us know. And thanks, Aiden.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott.
Okay. Everybody have a good day. Okay. Bye-bye.